Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and you guys may have noticed that Combat Veteran Reacts has actually been neglecting somewhat a classic staple of the channel, and we're moving it over here. This is MikeBurnFire's The Hentai Incident. Please don't demonetize me, YouTube. I swear it's just a name. Let's get into it.
I got in trouble when I was,
There's a lot of stories that you say that begin with, I got in trouble.
He was stern talking to because when I was about 14 years old.
So, okay, I want to point this out, that you, like me, probably had the first thought of, he got in trouble in the military. And I want you to just place into your context here the ridiculousness that the military, an organization comprised entirely of adults who want to be there, that you can get in trouble. Now, I want you to understand that, yeah, I get it. Everybody makes mistakes, but like in the military, you're actually treated like a child. Like someone will call you into their room and they will give you a yelling at, and they will actually yell at you like, "I can't believe you did that. That's so stupid. How could you do that?" Blah, blah, blah. And you have to think for a minute that, like, for a child, that sort of makes sense. Even now, we don't think that it's a great idea to communicate with children that way, though I'm from a generation where yelling was a normal form of communication. But like for a child, right, like making a strong emotional impression can actually be an effective way to instill a message. But for an adult, presumably, you can just tell them. You know, one of the things that, like, and I started that way, right? The military sort of indoctrinated me into this, like, you're not good in the military, you're yelling at people. And, like, slowly over time, I realized, I was like, you know, I can communicate my displeasure with something. I can even, I won't even use the word punishment, though at the time I would have used the word punishment, enact punishments without yelling at people. Sometimes I would look, you know, there was some times where, like, you know, as an officer, right, you're only as respected as, like, the respect you command. And so when sometimes people would get a little friendly, a little casual, a little maybe even mouthy with me, you know, I realized I didn't have to yell at them. I'd be like, "You can't say that, Private. Drop and do push-ups." And I would sit there and I would watch them do push-ups just to remind them that, like, well, not even to remind them, though they needed the reminder, but to remind everyone around me that the rules still apply. We have not regressed to Lord of the Flies. I am still the officer of this unit, and, like, we can goof around, we can have fun, but you do not get to try to, like, step on my authority, because you can't, right? But, like, the military it sometimes doesn't compute that. It really does sometimes treat you like you're about 10 years old. And I think that's half the reason soldiers sometimes perform their duties like they're 10 years old.
My parents called me downstairs and they said, "Zach, we need to talk to you." I recognize that tone of voice. Nothing good ever follows these words. Though I feel like
A lot of people think cyber attacks are just hackers targeting government buildings and government databases. But the reality is, you and I can even become victims of cyber criminals. I've personally had my data leaked as part of a major database attack, and not long after I found that someone had set up bills and utilities in my name. In 2022, you can't take your cybersecurity too seriously. That's why I wanted to talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN makes your online communications and browsing close to impossible to hack and safe from outside observers. NordVPN's Onion over VPN combines the anonymity of a Tor browser with the security of a VPN. And Nord's double encryption means that the second VPN server is unaware of your IP address, and all communications are done over UDP and TCP protocols. So when you're traveling and you connect to sketchy airport Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi in coffee shops, you know that your online data is secure using NordVPN. And NordVPN is easy to use. Just open up the app, select your desired country, and voila, you're browsing from another location. Go to NordVPN/MHGR to get the 2-year plan with an exclusive deal, plus 4 bonus months for free. And it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee.
parents pranked me at one point because they called me downstairs and they were like, "We need to talk to you." And then they revealed that they had bought me a pump-action shotgun. And I was like, "Yay! Everything's happy!"
They were probably trying to instill in him that this is not a toy. And Zach's immediate thought was, A toy.
Best 12th birthday ever!
I think I actually got a 22 long rifle for my 12th birthday.
Come on!
My parents called me.
You should learn to. Everyone should learn to shoot on a 22. Truly, it instills you to not be afraid of recoil, which you shouldn't be afraid of recoil for any caliber. But you might as well start at a 22. It really gives you the confidence to pull that trigger and not freak.
Downstairs one day, and they said, "Zach, we need to talk to you." And they just had a stack of 7 or 8 pages of hentai that had printed off of the computer.
Where did you store these normally?
I didn't save any of them. I would print them off, but
Oh, man. Damn. That's rough, dude. Though, I didn't even think... I'm trying to think of how to navigate this without getting demonetized. I think Zach and I are about the same age. And so, when I was that age, one, I'm not even... I think we had an internet connection, but it was, like, massively slow. Listen, your parents, if you're from my generation, our parents are not digital natives. They came of age before the internet even existed. So if you know how to delete your browser history, and if you're really crafty, you delete your browser history, and then you visit other websites like thebible.com and wikipedia.com, and you Google search like how to make my parents happy, how to apply to college, right? You put a little fluff in there, and then you're good, man. You're good. Why would you? Physical evidence is the worst, right? It was the opposite of today, where there's always a digital record, but like if you write something down and then you light it on fire, it's truly and verily gone. The only copy to exist is vanished. Not so in the past. In the past, if you deleted browser history, your parents, it was gone. You might as well have encoded it in Coptic Egyptian. They were never going to find it. They would have no conception. They would have no conception to even check the browser history. And again, if you're smart, if they did, all they would see is how to bake mom the best apple pie or whatever. I mean, okay, I would make it like plausible. It would be like Diablo 2 best builds or something.
apparently, in my rush to close down the computer because my parents had gotten home, and I was like, I must scrub all evidence of my misdoings.
Yeah. So you closed it down, but there were still jobs pending.
So the next time they turned on the computer, it just started going blip, blip, blip,
oh my God.
blasting out pictures of Tifa just buck naked.
Tentacles everywhere.
Wasn't into tentacles yet.
It's the hedonic treadmill, friends. You know, it's like a drug addict. You just start at normal and slowly, all human beings, this is how it is. You just digress towards more and more crazy shit. And it's not just trying to think of a non-demonetized word. It's not just fun things on the computer, right? Look at how much other shit in your life, you know? It's like the first time you ate sushi, you had a California roll, and you were like, wow, my mind is blown. And then you actually had sushi with fish, and you're like, whoa. And then, 3 years later, you're just like, I'll have the eel and 2 octopus and whatever this word is. I don't know what it means. They're like sea urchin. I'm like, I'm in, And before you know it, you can only get satisfaction from like $200 artisanal sushi, right? This is just the standard hedonic treadmill. The secret is to make sure that you move yourself down the treadmill at a slow enough rate that you're dead before you reach the end. So like I fucked up because I made the mistake of getting the $200 sushi on like my 30th birthday, or like my 32nd birthday. I'm done. I have to fly to Japan to get the next best sushi. Though low-key, the sushi place in like my rando suburban Texas town is actually like phenomenal. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it is. But the point is that I've screwed up, right? My goal would have been to get the $200 sushi at like when I was like 65, then between 65 and 75, go to Japan. It's full of old people anyway, I'll be fine. And then you have the best sushi of your life, and then you're like 3 years, actuarially, I'm like 3 years away from being dead. So it's perfect. The timing works out great. This is why human beings are like, we're donezo. We're totally donezo. Because everyone in the world has the internet. Everyone is starting at age, every straight male is starting at age 12. So by the time they're 24, it's like, yeah, you're like, tentacles? Come on, man. It's got to be, if it's not interdimensional, furry, inflation, you know, if Seth isn't making a video about it, I don't want to know it.
The tentacles would come later.
Ugh.
Both literally and metaphorically.
Christ.
The thing was, I don't
Jesus
think they knew what anime was, let alone that cartoons could even be like that.
They must have thought
So
he
they were
found
just
Satan.
more confused. What is this? Why are these cartoon women naked? What are we looking at here? Can you explain this?
What? How did you explain it to them?
You got hacked. You don't know how that's happened. You downloaded a program. Come on, man. If he screws this up, he doesn't deserve to call himself a millennial child, truly. What you tell them is that I downloaded this game. It said it was going to, like, the secret is to not associate it with something that you like, but something that you already don't like. You just got to be like, yo, I was searching for this, like, Japanese... I have to do a report on Japanese culture. There was this app. It said it was like a Japanese encyclopedia, and I downloaded it, and it put this like virus on the computer, and I had to like restart it. It had these images everywhere. It started printing stuff. I panicked.
Them.
I think I was just so traumatized by the event of my parents finding some of my porn that I blanked most of it from my memory.
And that was when clever Zach had an idea, a most devious idea. He said to his parents, "Oh, mother, these are instructional drawings on how to behave around women. Were I a tentacle monster? I'm learning."
I'm learning.
Jesus
Don't
Christ.
print these out anymore. Whatever you're doing, stop. Just, no.
No more of this, please.
No more of this, please. I did get caught at one point because this was before I knew about search history or like the internet browser history.
Yeah.
They found out that I had gone to a bunch of pornographic websites.
Gasp.
Not hentai, pornographic websites.
Double gasp. With actual women this time.
I remember one of them
They were probably like relieved.
covered herself in spaghetti sauce in a sensual
What?
manner.
Not even...
I mean, the '90s internet, guys. I mean, okay. I'm just gonna tell you how it was. The '90s internet was just a little. It was a lot. It was a lot more wholesome in every aspect, right? Like it just was. You know, you would go and like, yeah, you would play like Diablo 2 and stuff online, but you wouldn't have like the horrific racist trolls, right? It was only nerds. And nerds were different then. They weren't like gamers, right? Gamers are a new class of person because they can like function in society, right? They have enough prestige and like they have enough money and self-importance that they really think they're entitled. But nerds, when the internet was truly nerds, like, and back when nerds would get like if you watched anime in high school, you had no friends. Your only friends were anime nerds on an internet forum, which meant that when you logged in, you were your best self on the internet, right? In school, you would just get, beat up for watching anime, but in the internet, you were like just Joe. You were like Joe at the bar, man. It was so much nicer. Just like, again, like Diablo 2, you would just, yeah, they were scammers, but they were obvious. They were stupid. They would be like, I'll dupe your gold, I'll dupe your Saj, and they would take it and leave. But like, unless you were falling for the dumbest trick in the book, it was just a more wholesome experience. I'm telling you, the internet when it was full of nerds was great. They should ban everyone from the internet that doesn't have like strong nerd credentials, which I know would even include me, but that's okay. It's worth it because sometimes like the people who are just like too weird to ever have a friend in high school, like they really needed the internet in the 90s and early 2000s.
Marinara sauce. Disgusting.
Disgusting. It was chunky.
Whore!
This is getting demonetized.
Your parents were mildly happy that the women were real this time.
Guys, do me a favor though. Please hit subscribe. I would love to get this channel to 100,000 subs. You can see right there, I've got my plaque for Combat Veteran Reacts, and it would be so cool to prove to my wife that I really am a successful YouTuber by having two channels with the fun plaques. You really feel like a somebody when YouTube is like, you're real, your channel's real, we sent you a thing. So anyway, thanks. Just hit subscribe, please.
This was before the hentai incident, which shall be referred to as the hentai incident.
The tentacle apocalypse.
There weren't any tentacles in it.
Okay.
It wasn't until later. One of them, Tifa was wearing a cattail, and the cattail was going places, but it wasn't a tentacle. I seem to remember lots of images of Tifa, even though I didn't like Final Fantasy VII. I think I just like Tifa.
Yes. Why wouldn't you? She's the protagonist, isn't she? I don't know. I've not played that game.
I don't know. I've never played it.
Well, how do you know you didn't like it then? Some people swore by it.
Why does a computer say that it went to these pornographic websites? And I said, oh no, I am such a young and innocent boy. I was on this website here that talks about Star Wars, and there's this advertisement here. And it just started popping up things for this website. Because pop-ups are a thing. Yeah. Boy, they sure are. It started popping up. It certainly was not me, your good and innocent child. And they bought it. And they went, okay, well, don't go to that website anymore. And I said, of course, my dear parents, I would never do such a thing.
Man, okay, my parents were Catholic, and the Catholics, the Irish Catholics, they apply guilt, like a lot of guilt. So this whole like casual, like, well, don't do that anymore. Like, no, you were wrong because you should have known. Even if that were true, it wasn't. My parents weren't stupid. Even if it were, I would still be wrong by Catholic dogma and Catholic morality that you are wrong for having ever seen that. And I will punish you for having seen something you are innately attracted to. Like, how dare you, sir? I know. When you really unpack it, you're like, this seems kind of weird. That, like, there's a whole religion, like, okay, I'm going to take these feelings, this attraction to, in my case, the opposite sex. I'm going to put them in your soul. And it's going to show up when you're, like, 12. And it's going to bury your way into your mind. And we are going to instruct you at all costs never to indulge any facet of it. Ever. Until you're, like, 25. And then we'll be mad that you haven't indulged in it, right? You're like, how dare you not? You're like, not have sex right until you turn 23, and then it's like, where are my kids? Where are my grandkids? Right? Like, it's a weird system, one that's probably in need of like some.
I was down there looking at porn on the computer again.
Of course. But it always was the worst when you got an actual virus or something on your computer that would cause those pop-ups to appear nonstop.
Oh, jeez.
That was a real plague back in the day.
That's how I learned how to fix things on computers, because something like that would happen, and I'd be like, I don't know what the hell to do, and so I'd go on.
This naked lady keeps popping up every 5 minutes. This is not good.
This is not what I'm supposed to have happen. This laptop is only supposed to be for schoolwork.
We're not at the chapter where we study naked ladies having sex. This is a microbiology class!
I'm gonna get in so much trouble. We had the kid's laptop that was a Toshiba laptop. It was a massive piece of garbage, but it went on the internet. And something would happen on it, and I would be like, oh shit, close the laptop, hide it somewhere, and then go onto the family computer and be like, pop-ups not stop happening, how fix? And it's like, yeah, just hit Control, Delete, and just like close the program down. Oh my god!
Oh man, he never got the real bad stuff. Okay, so things got worse when they invented peer-to-peer file sharing like Napster. Because here's the thing, all you would do, Napster would just look around other people's hard drives for the same file. But the problem would be that sometimes you would find like, yeah, you'd be like, common stuff was easy, right? You'd be like, Metallica, Turn the Page full album or something. And you'd see 400 other people had it, and you'd be like, perfect. You'd be reasonably confident. But sometimes, that one obscure song by your favorite band, there'd be one person who had it in their laptop. And you'd be like, all right, I'll share that file. Well, lo and behold, they decided to take their terrible virus, right? Or it would be a song that like hadn't dropped yet, but like 12-year-old you isn't smart enough to be like, well, if the album hasn't released, it's probably not on Napster. You were like, maybe someone from the record label uploaded it early and you download it. And then it would be like the computer version of like super COVID, right? It would just infect your computer and just collapse everything from the inside out, and you could not dig it out. You could close the program, you could never find it. You had to reinstall Windows. I must have reinstalled Windows on my family laptop like 40 times. Seriously. Just by doing that. You find something, you're too dumb to realize that the file is too good to be true, or it's like, and then you end up with, computer bubonic plague or whatever.
To open the laptop up.
The 90s was weird, man.
Suddenly I turn into a hacker and I'm just bashing away at keys.
It's crazy how much porn runs the universe.
It's the Hentai Hour. My name is Zach. Welcome to the Hentai Hour.
That's what you should have named his
this
podcast.
Week's offering is by the mangaka Dr. P. It's a really excellent story about a young boy who falls in love with a girl from his school who he wrongfully assumes is a member of the Yakuza.
Is that a real thing?
That is a real thing. It's one of my favorite ones.
Okay. I don't have a favorite. I like them all.
The problem with hentai, it's very rarely these two characters are in love. Also, they have sex in this story.
That you could stop right there and it'd be enjoyable for a lot of people.
Hentai.
Well, okay, here's the thing, man. Here's what you got to realize about human beings. Is that two people fall in love, they have sex. That exists as live action pornography. The whole reason to draw porn. There's now, I think, a subset of people who have been exposed to hentai so young that they actually probably prefer it to IRL porn, and again, we're all doomed. But like the whole point of hentai is that you can have things that can't exist in the real world. So like, if you're even today, if your fetish is furry inflation, my guy, you're out of luck. That doesn't exist in the real world. Never will. Your only outlet is drawn smut. So that's it. That's it. And YouTube, for purposes, I am providing education. This is education I'm giving these people. Don't demonetize me. Yeah, that's it. That's why these things exist, is to produce things that can't exist in the real world.
Comics that are like that are great because it's just like, I'm really happy that these two characters are in love and they get to consummate their relationship.
Look at these two human beings enjoying life together.
Yeah, this is just an HBO show. Well, even HBO is edgier than that. This is like a bad Netflix rom-com.
Sharing a sensual, candid moment with each other. Not every hentai needs to show the penis from the vagina's point of view.
That's always kind of weird. The ones that I don't like is it's like, oh, look at this young couple in love. They care about each other so much. And also, here's this big, fat, ugly guy who's just gonna steal this.
I mean, like I said, it's like, I mean, if you're a big, fat, ugly guy, you probably just want a little self-insert.
Girl
Who am I
away
to
because
judge?
you know some information about her. God damn it, I don't want to read this anymore.
It's all... There is a problem with porn in general, where there's too many guys involved. There's a one woman and one guy, still too many guys. You don't
Okay.
have to make
They have an entire never mind.
him 300 pounds, though.
God, we are just getting so far into talking about hentai.
Because when you make him 300 pounds, but the girl's only 100, that means 75% of the sex is guy.
By weight. It's somewhere there's a degenerate who's 300 pounds and their dream is to have an anime waifu. And this is the only chance those poor losers get to self-insert. There's no porn, there's no IRL pornography where they can self-insert, so it's only anime.
Yeah, this is great. Look how in love these two characters are. Who's this big fat guy? What the fuck is happening? No! If one of the people in the porn does not look like they're having a good time, I am out.
Yeah.
I do
Zach, we're learning Zach's fetishes are all very wholesome.
not want to have anything to do with that.
Fair enough.
I've watched porn before and been like, yeah, I can get into this. I have watched a porn.
I once watched a porn. Yeah, no, Zach is telling me that it's way too wholesome. I don't believe it. I don't think you can be exposed to hentai that young and have a normal sexual development. Like, somehow, in his mind, his psyche has just, like, been ripped apart, and there's a part of his conscious that's like, yeah, I just like it when it's two nice people enjoying each other, having a special moment. That's my fetish. And there's another part of his brain, his id, that he doesn't even consciously acknowledge, that's just like, I want the tentacle to pull her into another dimension and do things to her that defy the laws of physics. Like, that's what we're seeing here.
How dare you, Zach?
For the record, yes, Zach and I had a 2-hour podcast. He seemed like a totally normal guy. I'm making all of this up, by the way. If the only interaction I've had with Zach Hazard is on the podcast, I'm doing this entirely for comedic effect. Please don't judge me, Zach.
Tonight's big news. Zach watched a porn. I have watched
Millions of lives have been shattered.
millions dead.
Are they drunk? You
What
might be
chain of
drunk for
events
this.
went from?
Apparently it was the porn that summons Cthulhu.
Oh, okay.
The tentacles got a little real. Like I said, you just keep getting more and more intense. Before you know it, you have to summon actual tentacle demons, or else you're never going to get off again.
Hey, we're all familiar with that one.
You watch just the right amount of tentacle porn when the stars align and Cthulhu will emerge from the dreaming city of R'lyeh and lay waste to mankind.
Ugh, the Necronomicon.
Jesus Christ. Okay, wow. Thank you, lads. Please follow Zach and Mike and become members of the Patreon, because God knows I'm not going to make any money on this. The Patreon actually has a bunch of combat videos on it where I do breakdowns of real-world combat usually out of the Ukraine war that I can't show on YouTube, so they're pretty edgy. So definitely, but really, if you do one thing, hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you, and catch you in the next one.